Yes, indeed.
Hey there, guys. This is Howie, and this is episode 2 of Howie Reacts to Stock Videos. I got a little bit of prefacing to go before I get into this video. The first thing being, it popped up in my feed. It's about marijuana stocks in Canada, so it's a little bit nuanced to Canadians. However, some of the concepts, I watched it once just to see what it was all about, and some of the concepts that he talks about are very interesting and very much up my alley. However, it is one of those videos that is part of the salesman, join my trading strategy guide situation and make $1 million. So all of my students are making lots of money, so you join me and you should too. So I'll preface and say that it comes with a grain of salt. I generally would not trust very many people who use these kind of systems, because if they legitimately had some sort of a guaranteed winning awesome system, then why would they just give it away? Why would they not just grow their own portfolios times 100, right? So it's similar to the poker lifestyle, where if someone is giving away training videos on how to play really good poker, it feels fishy, because why wouldn't they just be doing it themselves? With all that prefacing finished, let's get into the actual video by Timothy Skiles, published just a few days ago, and 7,000 views, and overall fairly positive response from individuals. So let's get into it.
What's up? Tim Sykes, millionaire mentor and trader, here answering your questions. I gave a webinar this morning from this beautiful villa that I have for the week here just a few hours ago. And one of the questions that I got from a trading challenge student, and by the way, if you want to get into my trading challenge and get access to my live weekly webinars, click the link just below this video.
So right away, before he even gets into anything, he's self-promoting, which is fine. I mean, that's certainly something that will happen in this situation. You know, join my weekly webinar and get access to this and that, these insider secrets.
Challenge students get 2 to 4 live webinars every week, not just from me, but also my top students. Is the best way to learn. But one of the questions I got was, what do you think about, I don't know, October 17th, I think that's when Canada is formally legalizing, marijuana. What do you think? How should I position myself ahead of this October 17th deadline? And I said, today is August 17th as we're filming this. I'm like, I don't care, or is today August 17th or 16th? 17th? Cool. And I said, I don't care if it's August 17th, September 17th, October 17th. I don't give a fuck what day it is. I don't care about upcoming dates and trying to guess. This is why I'm not on CNBC. I react to the reaction of news.
So that caught my attention right away. The idea of reacting to the reaction. It's something that I've been messing around with conceptually, and I have a few anecdotal situations that I've just instinctively done with some success. I think one of them was about 3 months ago, where there was a Facebook third quarter result where they were expecting, a 2.6% profit margin, and they ended up with a 2.4% profit margin, and the stock tanked like 13% in a day, and the numbers were just below estimates, and overall it was seemed like a very nominal difference, but there was a huge negative reaction. And it was after that reaction that I got into Facebook, and I held it for, I don't know, let's say a week, and I made 3 or 4% on the pullback, because I felt like it was an overreaction to a news story. And then the same thing happened about 3 weeks ago now, where Elon Musk smoked a little marijuana, speaking of a marijuana stock, on the Joe Rogan show, and the next day the stock went down like 6 or 7%. And it was the same idea of, instead of looking at a news story or a future potential news story and trying to figure out what's going to happen to the market, sort of the idea of waiting for that thing to actually happen and then making a choice. So anyway,
I don't try to predict news. I don't try to predict the reaction of news. I react to the reaction. And I know this sounds weird and, you know, kind of corny, but it's true. I wait for the news to come out, and this has been a big part of my success. I don't have to guess ahead of time, okay? I used to play the guessing game. I wrote for thestreet.com. I was getting all these page views when I was like, oh, here's an earnings winner or a probable earnings winner coming up. And I would try to guess. And most of the time I was right, but sometimes I was really wrong. And as a financial commentator, it doesn't matter because you're just throwing out ideas and people just want ideas because they're degenerate gamblers.
So that is a very good point. And the point being, if you watch any of the stock market, you know, futures, here's my idea of what's going to happen next, or I think that here are 5 stocks to watch or whatever. And I mean, these are available everywhere. They're available from each trading platform. Those suggestions are available from websites and blogs and TV shows and news media places. They're all over the place where these places are just suggesting these stocks. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if they're right or not because they just move on to the next one and to the next one and to the next one. There's no keeping track of these people's records of saying, yes, I was successful in 80% of my recommended trades or anything. So it's just that information, and there's no accountability within any of these places. So that's just an overall red flag for me to just not pay attention to any places that would suggest, you know, you should buy this stock because, you know, I think in 2 weeks they're going to have a news story and something's good is going to happen, or vice versa, or whatever, based on these future random predictions, because there's no accountability. And without accountability, they can just go on and what's their next pick and their next pick and their next pick forever without any repercussions or without any validity to what they're suggesting.
But as a teacher, my goals are different. I want to teach you strategies that actually work, and they might not be the most exciting. You know, they're not the most action-oriented, like, okay, how do I prepare for October 17th? How do you prepare for October 17th? You wait for fucking October 17th to happen, and then you see what stocks are moving on October 17th or October 18th. And the same goes true with earnings. How do I know what's going to be the next big earnings winner? You wait for the companies to report the fucking earnings, and then you see what are the biggest percent gainers. You do not have to guess ahead of time. You should not guess ahead of time.
I think that's fantastic. I fully agree with this concept, and I think that it's something I've been working on myself in another video series I just started 3 or 4 days ago, where I started keeping track of the biggest moving stocks of a particular day and then following them for multiple days after to look for patterns days after an event. So days after a company has a really good review, or days after there's some sort of positive news of them acquiring a company or diversifying or whatever that may be, and watch to see what happens a few days later, and then try and find entry points that are profitable after news has happened. Not trying to figure out what's going to happen, but actually just reacting to things after they happen. I think conceptually that makes a lot more sense to me than actually trying to like guess what the third quarter report of, you know, Tesla or, you know, Google is going to be.
And I know this sounds weird, but it's true, okay? There's helicopters flying around. I don't care. I'm just going to be real with you. Does it sound terrible? Fine. I don't care if this sounds professional or not, because I've learned a lot over the past 2 decades in the stock market. And too many people try to predict stuff ahead of time. They think that there's like a skill, there's an art. There's nothing, okay? It's a fucking coin toss, and you're not going to make a lot of money, even if you do make money sometimes. The key to making money a lot over the years is to not play the guessing game and to just recognize that even when the news comes out, you have 1, 2, sometimes 3 days before more people realize it. If you're on the game, if you're on the ball like I am every day, like putting watch lists together, you know, commentary, trade alerts, video lessons, blog posts, tweets, like I'm on it every single day because that's the way that I'm prepared. That, you know, I trade like a sniper. I'm prepared for that shot when the shot is there. Today I didn't even trade. There was no great trade. Some days you're not going to trade. But I wait for the news to happen. You do not have to predict it ahead of time. I know that you want to. I know that you think that you're working hard where you're like, oh, I'm going to do channel checks. I'm going to see if this product is doing well. I'm going to be an analyst. Analysts, if you actually look at academic studies and papers on Wall Street and analysts, and Jim Cramer for that matter, they're right 35 to 40% of the time. It's not a majority of the time. And this is why, frankly, they don't make a lot of money. This is frankly why TheStreet.com is failing. This is frankly why CNBC's ratings are at multi-decade lows. It's not making people money. 90% of traders lose. Why are my students at all-time highs? Why do I have so many successful students? Because I teach a strategy that might not be the most exciting, but it fucking works.
So, yeah, that's all very interesting. That idea of, Kramer or any of those TV personalities offering trades, and it doesn't really matter. There's no accountability, like I said before, and it's a crapshoot. You don't know. There's way smarter people out there. There's way better trained analysts. The idea of picking apart the intricate financials of a multi-billion-dollar company individually is asinine. If you think you're just some person who's going to understand this company better than the accountants and the CEOs and the professional people who spend 60 hours a day who have Harvard degrees and this and that. I just think if that's your trading strategy, or if that's my trading strategy, I don't think I'm going to have much success. So again, diving in a little bit more to this idea of being more reactive to what's already happened as opposed to attempting to predict the future. I really like that concept.
And you can doubt me, you can ignore me, you're free to do that. But I'm going to teach what I've learned over the past 2 decades. And this is why my winning percentage is 70%. This is why my top students' winning percentage is 60, 65, 70%. And when we're wrong, rule number 1 is cut losses quickly. So don't try to predict events ahead of time. Simply wait for the reaction. And then what do you do with the reaction? Well, hopefully you've been studying my video lessons, DVDs, webinars.
Okay, so he's getting into some self-promotion here, which is fine. Do what I'm going to tell you to do in that reaction.
You see how different patterns play out. You see that earnings winners can spike on day 2, day 3, day 4. You can see that OTC multi-day breakout spike on day 2, day 3, day 4. You can see that morning panics are really good for the first hour or 2. You can see that you probably shouldn't buy or dip buy afternoon panics. There are good patterns and there are bad patterns, and there's no one right or wrong pattern, but you can study the past and be better prepared, and that way you get the odds on your side. Don't predict, react. Leave a comment underneath this.
Okay, so that's basically the end of the video. Don't predict, react. And I like that. I think that's a good tagline concept for trading. It's not about predicting as much as reacting or responding to the reaction of others. I think that's a great concept. And while I'm certainly not about to purchase this guy's video series or whatever he's selling, I think he offers some good free advice, especially for people getting into the market who think that in order to be successful, you have to be some sort of a savant who's just capable of looking into your crystal ball or reading your tea leaves and determining which of these thousands of stocks is going to be successful over the next week or month or whatever your situation is. So I don't know. I thought this was a really good video, and I appreciated it. And I would appreciate if you enjoy this video to comment and tell me what you think. Tell me your feedback. Tell me if you agree or disagree, and if you enjoyed this video. See ya.
Yes, indeed.